This is a Brooklyn-bound 2 train. The next stop is Wall Street.
Stand clear of the closing doors, please.
Welcome back, everyone. This is Not Your Advisor with NYU Grad on Wednesday, October 23rd. We had a little bit of a sell-off today, and I'm going to cover it, so let's jump right in. We had 4 advanced decline. Well, let me take a look at breadth first. So we had 171 new highs versus 188 new lows. That doesn't really tell the story today. It was really advanced declines in the Mag 7. We had 21% advancing versus 73% declining. The moving averages, 46% were under the 50-day and 36% were below the 200-day moving average. The Dow closed off the lows, but it was still down 400 points. At one point, we were down over 600 points on the Dow. The NASDAQ closed a little bit off the lows, but closer to the lows, down 296 points or 1.6%. The S&P was down 53 points or 0.92%. All of the Mag 7 were red. It was pretty much sell-off all day, except for like the opening. Looking at the sector groups, real estate bounced up 0.75%, utilities up 0.75%. Every other sector was red. Consumer cyclical led to the downside, down 1.5%. Then technology was down 1.4%. Communication services down 1.2%. Basic materials down 0.9%. Energy down 0.75%. Healthcare down 0.58%. Industrials down 0.4%. Financials down 0.4%. Consumer defensive down as well. We have some notable wedges that are either threatening to break down or have broken down. And I just want to remind folks, NVIDIA is up so much. If NVIDIA loses 15%, it can do so in the blink of an eye, and it still would be in a bullish uptrend. So don't be surprised if NVIDIA goes down 10-15% from here. And it wouldn't even be a panic mode, to be quite honest with you. But NVIDIA sold off the most within the Mag 7 today. Let's cover that. So if you take a look at NVIDIA's daily chart, you'll see the wedge or the pizza slice forming. And we broke down today underneath $138. We recovered some of that during late trading toward the close. The Qs, same thing, we're breaking down from a wedge, and the SPY also breaking down from its long-term wedge from August. I noted with the premium members in the private chat before 11 o'clock that silver could, this was actually last night, but I noted that silver could pull back all the way to approximately 33 and change, without really giving me too much concern. And that's when we were at like 34, 35. And here we are today. We pulled back a little bit. I also noted in the morning before 11 o'clock that the market is so high, over 40K on the Dow, that a 500-point down day is nothing. And it's probably going to happen. And sure enough, it did. Couple things pointed that to me other than these wedges. If you recall, I've been talking about horrible breadth and how overnight we've been rallying on no volume and we've been distributing during the day with volume. That was a major clue for me. Let's see. I noted that I see $120 in NVIDIA's future. That's about a 15% drop. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm saying if it does, I wouldn't be surprised, and it wouldn't be a big deal. That's basically just back to the pre-split price. And if 120 doesn't hold and we go like south of 118, 115, then Jensen Huang might need to get some more tattoos And if your parents or grandparents are calling you panicking about a 3% dip in NVIDIA, just tell them to chill out. And a 15% pullback in a stock that's up 10,000% is normal. At 1 o'clock, I noted to my premium members that Tesla was reporting, and I suspected a sell-off after earnings. I guessed incorrectly. Tesla is up 8.7% after the close on earnings. It's up to $232. Let's see what happens, though, after the earnings call. Typically, the real move either continues or reverses after the earnings call begins. So let's see. 3 o'clock, the Dow recovered some, the ES recovered some. We were only down 427 points on the Dow after being down over 600. The ES was only down at that point 1.1%. So it was trying to bounce toward the close, and we did. But let's see tomorrow if this is the end of this little mini correction and we rally, or if we continue this sell-off. I'm not going to say either way, right? Like, it's not for me to decide, it's for me to trade it. What else kind of stuck out? So I want to reiterate the weighting of the S&P and the NASDAQ 100. When you have companies like Apple, which is 7% of the S&P, Microsoft is 7% of the S&P, Amazon 3.5% of the S&P, NVIDIA is 3% of the S&P, Meta is 2% of the S&P, etc., and they're all down 2 to 3%, you're going to have a day like today. Everyone is concentrated in the same stocks. And that's what we saw. Volume came back. SPY traded 47 million shares. The average daily volume is about 50 million, so it wasn't one of these 20 million shares traded on the SPY. So that's a little concerning, right? Because every time we don't have volume, we just kind of putter around. And when we do have volume, we sell off. So this is a trend that continues, and it's a little bit concerning. There was a lot of things up and a lot of things red today. So if you take a look at the S&P 500, I'll try to get through these really quickly. Northern Trust was up 7%, Teledyne 6%, AT&T 4.6%, Texas Instruments 4%, Verizon 3.28%, NRG 2.8%, Equity Residential 2.3%, Kroger 2.1%. On the NASDAQ, on the upside, you have Texas Instruments up 4%, Baker Hughes up 2.8%, On Semiconductor 2.1%, NXP Semiconductors 2.07%. To the downside, the list is very long. I'm not going to go through all of them, but you had Enphase Energy down 14.9%, Seagate down 8%, Old Dominion Freight 5.4%, CoStar 5.2%, McDonald's 5.12%, Palo Alto Networks 4.7%, First Solar 4.4%, Walgreens 3.9%, Qualcomm 3.8%, Broadcom 3.2%, Molina Healthcare 3.1%, Meta 3.1%, T. Rowe Price 3%, Invesco 2.9%, Nucor 2.9%, CrowdStrike 2.9%, HP 2.9%. So fairly long list there. The NASDAQ was also long. I'm not going to go through all of those. For free members, continue to watch the Mag 7, the macro, watch the forest, not the trees, and there's going to be more earnings coming out. So I'll see you all after the Thursday session. Premium members, please stay on. I have about 20 charts to walk through today. That's my train.
Stand clear of the closing doors, please.